Welcome to another episode of Love Living Local 315. We are your hosts, Scott and Kelly Greats, and today we are thrilled to welcome creative powerhouse in the world of florals and event design, Tiffany Rutkowski, the owner of Creative Designs by Tiffany. You know, this started as a chance, kind of out of the blue opportunity that moved Tiffany from the sports world into this flower shop in 2019, and it has blossomed literally into a thriving business, offering everything from stunning floral arrangements to boutique event rentals, weddings, and even a new corporate event space. Tiffany's passion for flowers, design, and organization has made her the go-to for life's biggest celebrations. And plus, now she's sharing her expertise and love for florals through her very own podcast, Tiffany Talk. We can't wait to hear more about her journey, the trends that she's loving right now, and her vision for the future. So let's dive in and welcome Tiffany to the show. So a lot of these I struggle to come up with, what are we going to talk to this person about? I don't know what they do. It's really, I get anxiety anyway. And with Tiffany coming in today, I was like, this is going to be easy.
Yeah, for sure.
You're always happy. You're always smiling. I'm sure there's people in your life that will tell me different.
Yes.
But when we see Tiffany, always happy, always smiling.
Try to be.
Very
That's the only
positive.
way to go through it, right? Yeah.
Sort of your second time on.
Yes.
Not, we kind of cheated.
Not with this. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Tiffany's place. Her podcast is
Tiffany Talk through the Little Falls, but I think they changed the name of it now. So I think it's Studio 25, I want to say. But you guys were in the original studio, which was the basement garage area. And now it's like actually in a studio like by the canal. So,
But you inspired us to get a studio because we were at our kitchen table and then we walked into the garage and we're like, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
You're calling
this
it
is cool.
like low budget, the garage.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need a low budget garage. Like that was like a dream for us.
That's where the best stuff starts, though. I'm serious.
Well, welcome back, sort of. First time on
you.
our home turf.
Yes,
and we wanted to get you in before Valentine's Day. Not that flowers are just for Valentine's Day. I know that's kind of cliche. But let's take our audience back to the beginning. What inspired you to start this journey?
Okay, so 2019, as AI had told you, right, which is right on, that's when we started. So in Dolgeville, there was a lady who had a flower shop, and so we ended up purchasing it from her, like quick, last-minute type of thing. My first day in business was, I think, February 7th. So then February 14th. So this is like my 6th official Valentine's Day, even though we've only been in business for about 5 years. So what kind of started that was I had had a few friends. They had gotten married over the years, did little things for them as far as flowers. And one of my friends said, oh, she's selling. You should go talk to her. And that's when it all kind of came together in about 2 weeks and flipped around for Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I either made a huge mistake or it's going to get better, I think. So we stuck with it's going to get better. And it kind of has, I guess, over the years.
And so your space is not just for flowers.
Right. It's grown. So originally I had like a hole in the wall kind of shop, which was basic, hole in the wall, pizza joint type thing. We have to start somewhere. So then a long story of events, but we ended up moving to the space that we were in now in Dolgeville, which is the event space too. So that's a lot of fun. We have up to 50 people and a really nice intimate venue for have the flowers as a backdrop. And then coming to Dolgeville, a lot of people don't go to Dolgeville on the regular. So I found it's really nice on a weekend. They can come up, see what's going on in town, but it's not like that after 5 o'clock on a Thursday. No one's really coming up to Dolgeville. So it helped out with the business that way. So we kind of grew into that. I think that was, you got to test me now. I think that was 21, I want to say. And then now 25, I guess. Is that where we're at? 25?
Yeah,
I don't even know what year it is.
We're definitely in 25. Yeah. I don't know when you started the space,
right.
but I know it is 25 now.
I think it was 21. I got to go back and think. I think it was 21 and then 25 now. 24, technically, we expanded down to Little Falls too. And now here we are in 25.
Yeah.
So
the Dolgeville space, talk a little bit about it's a church,
yes.
or it was a church.
Yes.
I guess you can still pray there if you want.
I guess the stained glass kind of makes it look like a church, and the acoustics are amazing. I've had people come in and they, Grand Ole Opry type of style because it has the wooden ceilings and just beautiful. But not a church right now. I guess you could have church if you wanted to in there. But for the event space, we do anything for 50 or less, and everything's included or nothing's included now. We kind of figured that out was kind of the niche market. Some people don't want flowers. So that's fine too. They can just come in, rent the space, use it. But with us, like obviously I have the flowers in the back, so it's easy to bring centerpieces out and do things like that. Like you guys did your Mother's Day event.
I'll have Kelly talk about it.
Yeah, so
it was amazing. I got a hold of you for a Mother's Day event. Yes. We have a couple of fantastic women that work for Scott, and we wanted to do something.
And some that aren't fantastic.
Stop it. We wanted to do something amazing for our parents as long as the ladies that work for us. And so we were given the option to bring food, which is awesome.
Yes.
We actually had it catered from a couple of different spots. We brought all the food. And then Tiffany had the option for all the mothers to make their own bouquet. And it was great. Yes. I mean, everybody got to go to the back. You let them pick out the flowers that they wanted, and everybody left with that. And that was a really, really awesome thing.
Yes.
That I know a lot of the guests said was great, but the space was just amazing. I mean, she's got a stage set up, and that's where we put the buffet. Yes. We were able to do games. We were able to do, and the event space is just like you said with.
And I think we were right after prom.
Yeah,
it was Mother's Day weekend, so
prom,
you had
Mother's Day, everything all rolled
you had
into
like
one.
The arch that we could still use for the pictures,
and that's what I mean. She had a spot for pictures. She had a spot where you could just obviously sit, and then you had a couple of unique items there for purchase, and we had quite a few people purchase things too.
Yes.
So it really is an awesome, awesome space that you provided. You've done a couple of other events there too.
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of different things. So that was trying to figure out like what the niche market would be. So like your event was probably one of my favorites because we could incorporate the flowers at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned too with the catering, you can bring in anything that you want. I've had people come in and ask, like, do you have a liquor license? We don't carry any of that, so you're assuming responsibility. So it actually works out for you because you can go and buy a 30-pack cheaper than somebody coming in and doing a beer and wine type of thing.
And we did bring our own booze.
Yeah, we did mimosas, and
so,
it was a Mother's Day brunch.
P.S. There is now a liquor store in Dolgeville officially open.
So those that have been listening to us for a while, this is going to be no secret, but we ran out of booze. And so I'm like, where's the closest liquor store on a Sunday? And Tiffany's like, there's not one in
Dolgeville, unfortunately, but now there is. So
and all the moms left.
Yes. So it's a good thing now that we do have one in Dolgeville. So right down there, one stop, you got everything there. And then your caterers are great. But like I said, you can always bring in whatever you want. You don't have to have it catered either. You're assuming responsibility. So I have some people bring in their own sandwiches and they make their own stuff. And, it's really cost effective that way too. So it's a really cool thing. But we've done daddy-daughter dance. That was another one. That was probably my second favorite thing we've done in there. And then a few weddings. So the weddings are fun too because they're like that intimate, usually second marriage type of thing where you don't want everybody and everything there. So we've had a few of those, and those are fun just to see, and everybody has their own little twist on it. Some people will choose to get married on the stage, and then other people will choose to get married in front of the big stained glass in the front, which is kind of cool, especially if you're getting married at the right time and the sun's coming in the right way. It's perfect for pictures. Awesome. So, and there's been a lot of events actually that I'm not even sure what else we've done. We've done showers, weddings, daddy-daughter dances, your type of events. I don't know. That's an AI question because I can't keep track of what I've done up there.
It's a space where you can do anything.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's, and I'll give a very genuine, authentic plug here with event planning. It can be very stressful, especially if you're talking about weddings, right? Or wedding showers. And, there's certain, you make it so easy. I don't know if that's good or bad for you, but as a guest, like, you're like, just take it over. Do whatever you want. Like, I'll set up however you want. I'll accommodate whatever you need. And the whole time, it was just so easy. And so you're good at taking the stress out of what's a pretty stressful thing, event planning.
I will say that's definitely from the years of baseball because I know like all the things you're thinking that could go wrong will go wrong. So you're planning for that. But then when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, it's easy. What are we going to do with parking? What are we going to do with extra toilet paper if you need that in the bathroom? So all those little things that kind of built up to how
you kind of started at the, this flower shop opened up and I just bought it. But what were you doing before? And you must have had a link to flowers. No one just
sort of, I guess.
No, this is all just
it was like a fun hobby, honestly. Okay. And so before that I had gone to school for sports rec management, which was nothing to do with flowers. And the organizing end of stuff, let me tell you, as a flower shop owner, if you've been in other flower shops, it's typically like a mass chaos space. And for me, I'm like, I have to have everything right where it is. So it's one of the cleaner flower shops, we'll say, clean up after every little thing you do. And that's one of my, I guess, kind of quirks that I'm like, I have to have it clean before I leave, Yeah, it's one of those things that like creatively everybody asked me if I was really creative, and I don't really think I was. It was just kind of like an outlet to do things, and I just knew like I always had an eye that I want the best of the best. So all that together just kind of is where it ended up for me. So it's kind of interesting, I guess, how we got there. So
the thing with flowers, right? Now you're talking to a dude here, right? But and so short shelf life.
Yes.
Right. So when you talk about ordering
and
seasons and events, like you've got a very tight window.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's got to be a lot of logistical stuff.
It's a lot of thinking. So like these are my standing order of roses. So every week I know I have a certain set coming in, and it took me like 2 or 3 months to get on that. So I had the ones that I wanted all the time, and I knew the quality was going to be there. So that's one of the things that's a little different than some of the normal flower shops where they're just in and out, whatever you can get, you can get. I knew I wanted this specific grower, which I'll shout out, Rosa Prima. They are in Ecuador, but they have premium roses, obviously, as you would see. So a lot of their stuff, I like to use those and concentrate on that. And a lot of times, it is a struggle. Like you're thinking, who's going to have purple this week? Nobody comes in with purple. I sit on it. That's it. So it's a lot of spreadsheets and trying to think of what am I going to need this week? What am I going to go forward with? So it's definitely a learning curve. And I think over the years, it's changed a lot in the industry, and I haven't been in it that long. But speaking to ones that have been in it, it's definitely changed a lot from 30 years ago till now. So
I'm obsessed with relationships and marketing and branding. And I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, and then help me out here. You got to get tight with the funeral directors.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of like the things that we know.
And that's part of like, that was one thing Travis, we'll shout out Travis now here, but he was one of the ones that told me when I first started, like, I'm branding myself. And I think that's a lot of what you talk about as compared to like, I'm branding the flowers. Like, that's great. But most guys will be like, we don't care if it's Rosa Prima. We don't know. So like knowing what my quality of work would be, that's what I was trying to brand to start with. And so once we got into it, it's going out and who do I know? Who can I talk to? How does that kind of work? Because there's a lot of florists out there that are great too at what they do. But being new, you kind of have to get into it a little bit more. And what's going to make me stand out above somebody else? And not even above somebody else, just I tell everybody, find the right florist for you. Like
opportunity.
Right. My style might not be what yours is. So go find a florist. I don't care. That's kind of the nice thing about it too, is that there's a lot of work and there's a lot of different florists. Find whoever works in your niche. So that was something I learned in the couple of years, kind of when I first started out, that I'm not trying to get the carnation and the daisies. It's just not my thing. So this is where I found this kind of worked for me. So getting in with funeral directors, weddings, it's all of those things. Unfortunately for me, I guess most of my friends are already married now. So that's one of those, like,
they'll be on number 2 soon.
Yes,
half of them.
Exactly. So it's like, that's kind of the niche market that you're thinking of. So you kind of have to think beyond, well, I don't know any 20-year-olds getting married. So how am I going to market to them and how am I going to stay relevant with that? So it's interesting, definitely. But it's fun.
Uniqueness is something that you definitely display with your arrangements. And I know that I got boutonniere and a corsage for prom last year.
Yes.
And they got so many compliments. I was asked, Kelly, where did you buy these? Because they were so very different than what you were just talking about.
Yes.
The mini carnation,
Exactly.
What trends are you seeing
Oh
that
my
are
gosh.
different now?
So when I first started, pampas grass. Have you seen pampas grass? It gets all over the place. That was a huge thing in barn style weddings. I'm beyond the barn style weddings now at this point. If you're having a barn style wedding, you can still call us. But I'm like, it's so overdone. There's so many barns out there. There's a lot of other ways to go about it. But that's one of the things, like the carnations and the baby's breath even. Baby's breath on its own is very trendy now, but before it used to be, you'd see a traditional dozen of roses, baby's breath all pouring out of it. That's not really the style that I see going into it now. A lot of fieldy kind of looking flowers, honestly, is what's the new thing as compared to it being like the roses or the structured kind of pieces. Carnations, everyone says it reminds them of a funeral home, which does make sense. So that smell, you go in, you're thinking that you don't want that for a prom because you're like, that's happy time, right? So there's a lot of new things, new trends. I always tell everybody around here, it's so odd. Like, we're about 5 years behind. Yes, that's the right word, from what the trend is. So if you're watching like LA and you see what they're doing out there, you're about 5 years behind, which gives you a good time to prepare. But at the same time, it's like right when it's relevant, you kind of have to wait your turn, I guess, in a way. So it's interesting that way. Bud vases are huge now, too. That's one of the things, like compared to a whole set, they do like little bud vases everywhere. That took a while to get out this way. And that's since I've been in business that kind of moved this way, too, that now bud vases are the thing. So it's interesting to see. And you throw your own niche into it, I guess, too. So.
And so if people want to come in and purchase their own flowers and arrange, they can also do that as well, right?
And that's what I tell everybody, too, is like I have my delivery driver. He loves it because if I have flowers in for more than a week, I won't sell them. They still look great, but I won't do it because I know what the shelf life is as it goes forward. That's one of the niche market things that like I'll have flowers that they look fine, but I just won't get them out the door. I won't charge you for them. So we usually have a set of those, like a little bucket full of stuff, and sometimes you can get some free flowers from that.
Awesome.
And then if you have other ones that you want, like the specific ones out of the cooler, you can grab those. I tell everybody try and call a couple days ahead. We'll get whatever you need. And it's fresh. You know it's bought just for you. So that's kind of the niche market I try and stick with it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
This is all hurting my head.
Yes, I know. I can see the smoke coming out.
I'm a visionary, not a logistical. Yes. You do a lot of logistical, tactical work. And so the only way to make that more complex is to add a second location just down the road, which you did in 2024. So talk to us about the process, the thought process and vision for now having a place in Little Falls as well as Dolgeville.
So it's funny, again, that happened in like a moment's notice. So Dolgeville is, like I said, it's kind of out of the way, off the beaten path. So, you figure 2,500 people, say, give or take, in Dolgeville. How many birthdays, weddings, anniversaries are there? You have 50,000 people, you have a lot more of those. So the expansion to Little Falls kind of, we're hoping will help with that it's catching a little bit more of those business kind of ideas than what Dolgeville was alone. How that happened was Shelly was the designer down there for 30 some odd years, and she was ready to retire 2 weeks later. And so we said, well, all right, again, the 2 week, about a month. Well, yeah, let's dive into it. Let's do it. So a lot of learning curves on that. She did a lot of teleflora, a lot of FTD, if you know what that is. Not my style. So I had a couple distributors call me and they were like, you're really doing this? I said, yeah, I think we'll give it a try. We'll see what happens. Since then, still haven't gotten into teleflora FTD, which there's a whole backstory on that, the reasoning why. But we still haven't quite dived into that. But being down in Little Falls, that's where I grew up. So it is nice to kind of come home and full circle that way. It is very central to a lot of things as compared to where Dolgeville was. And I love Dolgeville, don't get me wrong, but that road from Dolgeville to Little Falls that I have been driving 2 and 3 times a day sometimes, good Lord, stay in Little Falls, pick up in Little Falls if you can, if you're on that valley route. So it helps out that way, definitely.
And the Main Street location in Little Falls, if we want to talk a little bit about Little Falls and what, how do you say that?
Revitalization.
Revitalization.
Revamping.
The
fixing, upping,
improving it. I mean, that Main Street, you have so many great little shops, uniqueness, that's a perfect fit for you right there.
And it's like Schitt's Creek, right? So that's what I had talked to a couple of the business owners, and I was like, oh, that's like the dream. Like, you want to have like the apothecary in there, that sort of thing. And they're like, this is how we designed our stores. So it's kind of cool to be in between some of those stores too. So it's that niche uniqueness type of thing. So Little Falls is definitely a little more forward on that thinking wise. Dolgeville's still my favorite, but it's because I started there, I think. So
Back to my marketing brain, which will probably bore the audience to death. But real quick, as you're talking, I'm trying to think of consistent sales. Do you have a point of sale system or a database where you know people's birthdays, anniversaries?
But I'm not techie.
All right. Well, you should.
Yes.
And just be able to get out in front of it, right? Yes. Like, again, as a dude, if Kelly's birthday's in October, you send me something late September saying, hey,
he's going to be like, thank you very much.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And I'm going to buy it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's going to be the day before. And I'm like, oh no.
Exactly.
Socks it is.
Yeah. I need to go buy some socks.
And no one wants that. No.
And wine. I give her the wine first.
I do like the wine. I'm never going to complain about the wine.
That's perfect.
So there you go. Let's work on that.
That's perfect. Well, that's the thing is that I had for my own self for buying. There's a couple guys that'll come in and buy 24 roses for their anniversaries and stuff. So I had a paper calendar that I was writing on, and so I
knew they were coming.
Exactly, and I knew when to schedule around it, when I would get them in, all of that stuff. So I have it on paper. So I'm almost there. I'm like 1950s style, I guess, right now.
So let's keep on that
Yes.
path there, and let's talk about Valentine's Day and roses.
Yes.
I mean, are they still the go-to flower for everybody on Valentine's Day?
They are, but that's why I didn't bring red roses to you, so you can see how beautiful they can be not red. Now, red's the classic color. Like,
Red's
the
not my
love.
favorite. He'll tell you my favorite color, rose.
Yellow.
Yes.
Yes, there
I
you
do
go.
love a yellow rose.
My heart. I told you I have a lot of anxiety. I mean, that's how we. That just my heart skipped a
amazing.
beat there. It's-
Hey, you got it though. There you got
There
it.
you
That's
go.
the important thing. So, the red roses. Typically, you'll see like the classic, older gentlemen. They'll come in still and get those, or sometimes 3 in a bud vase, that sort of thing. Really trying to. I think of it now like I have to be in business for at least 30 years until I can retire. So, what's going to sustain like my marketing that a little bit forward? So, I try and a little bit of a mix. You can do something different container that you can use from year to year. So the marketing is a little bit different in my store, but we still have the dozen roses.
You have the traditional, yeah.
And we do have probably the best pricing on carnations because I can't stand carnations. So I get them in because there's still people that ask for them, but we usually do $5 or $10, and you help yourself. You can pick out of the bucket whatever colors you want. So we don't actually put those in arrangements, which I guess some people have told me that's nice because you're getting quality, when you're ordering. So that's the way I've kind of figured out.
That's
do
at
the
both
carnations.
locations.
That's at both locations. You come in and grab your carnations, pick out whatever you want with them. We have some nice sleeves for it if you want to add to it, but that's kind of the carnation route. We have it, but not my favorite.
Let's talk about community because you are uber involved and very generous with your time and passion for the area. So I guess what drives that? You continuously wanting to give back and be a part of this community?
I don't know what it is. So I guess, when I first started out, like right out of high school, I did a tennis camp down in Little Falls, and that was free for all the kids. And so I always loved doing that. And there's like nothing, you guys do this too, I'm sure, like there's nothing like it, just the fulfillment out of it. Like you're not really getting anything for it. It's free, so to speak.
You're getting the fulfillment.
Well, yeah. It's just like it's not as tangible as like some of the other things you may do for it. So ever since then, I always like being involved, and I knew like in the back of my mind, like there's nothing else like it. Like when you can give your time and like be of service to somebody, there's really nothing like that. With luckily all the opportunities I've had with like the flower shop and then even the event space, there's still opportunities to do that. And then politically, we live in a very small town, ran for office when I was like, 30, I think, got it. And it was awesome because it was a write-in vote. So did that. And so, in the networking thing, Rob Smullen, Elise Stefanik, got to talk to them and stuff. I found since that politics is not my thing.
Yeah.
It's very two-sided, and I'm not really that, it's nice to serve a little bit, but that's a little rough. But the school board has been great because that's just something you can kind of do. And I'll say for our school board, we don't have a lot of controversies in that way. So knock on wood, we don't. But it's one of those things that you can really give back and kind of see where the rubber meets the road in that way. So,
and it truly is a volunteer position.
Oh,
Scott
it
and I
is.
have been
Oh,
talking
it
about
is.
this in the past. That like
Nothing worse
when
than school
you
board.
serve on the
Get
school
nothing for
board,
it.
Oh, yeah.
you get. Well,
There's no
not that you
perks.
get. There are perks. You're helping to make the community a better place, and you're helping the future generation. Is the
No
mindset that you
perks.
need to have. But I'm
We
just
get
saying.
an umbrella. We do get an umbrella. We get an umbrella and a cup usually.
So
So yes.
Well, there you
Yes.
go. But
So-
thank you for doing that because
Yeah.
schools need people like you on their school board in
Well-
order to make decisions like that for the future of our
Yes.
communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Sort of. I
He's
mean,
not.
but you truly, it's a servant heart
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
There's no benefits, there's no health care, there's no pay,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
and you're wrong when something goes right. When something
Yes.
goes right, no one cares. Something
Absolutely.
that doesn't go the way they want it to, it's your fault.
Absolutely.
So it's-
Absolutely.
talk
It's
about-
amazing though
Yeah.
how that works. It's kind of cool because that's the only place you get to experience that too. Because in real life, so to speak,
Well,
you don't have people
You're
doing
married,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It's a similar situation
that's
for us
true
husbands.
too. That's true. I was gonna say, as a wife, we're always right. So I
And
don't
we're
know.
always doing for others.
right. Exactly. So it's one of those.
Yellow roses.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You have to remember that now. I'll put it in my book and then I'll have it down for
I'll
you.
be the
So
first one in your
yes,
database.
There you go. There you go.
So let's talk about a memorable or unique floral design or event that you did,
So
unlike any other.
I had a feeling you might ask this. So I have had kind of the best customers in that way. So I kind of attract, I guess, people that are different and unique. So I've had a few weddings that are like, do whatever you want. And I'm like, that's
Got
like,
to be amazing,
it's amazing.
for you.
Here's my color palette. This is what I want to do. Get creative with it. So there's a couple of those. The events, I would probably say, like yours was kind of memorable in that way because it was just something different and you were doing it for the people who work for you. That was just so cool. I did like the daddy-daughter dance. There are some of those moments, like it ended up that I had to DJ. Don't ask how I ended up having to DJ it. It worked out that way. The YouTube wasn't working right, so I ended up doing it. But there was this one little girl that came in and she did not want to be there with her dad. And then like halfway through, I see her and she's out there doing the cha-cha slide. The cutest little girl in the whole entire world doing the cha-cha slide in the middle of the floor. So I was like, how cool is that to have like the space to be able to do that? And then she went home with this little bouquet of flowers and stuff. So that was kind of one of my favorite moments, I would say, in general. So with the flowers and the event space.
It's really awesome that you do that too, because I know that sometimes when you get married, the joy gets taken out of it because brides are so overwhelmed with all the, not the little stuff, but there's a ton of things that go into planning it. Oh, yeah. So for you to be able to design stuff and just say, like, give me your colors and I'm going to do it for you and it's going to be amazing. That's huge.
Do you do planning? It's okay if it's a hard no.
So this is the funny thing is that as I was going through, like, you start out a business, you can't just do everything and everything, you know, but you also have to find like diversity on it too. So you can't just do just flowers because that's not going to pay the bills either. So I thought about doing the coordinating end of stuff, and I said, no, I'm not doing the coordinating because it's very stressful on that end. So you have, this is what I want to concentrate on, the beautiful flowers. That's it. If I have to start calling her to say you have to be at this appointment and this has to be done and this
or photographer or DJ
this person's not
here.
Yeah, so that's the coordinating part, and not so much in the shop. If you do like a shower, we'll do that obviously, but not full days of
wedding
coordinating.
planner.
No way. And honestly, I don't know who to even suggest anymore. There have been a couple over the years, but I'm not sure there's anybody that does that.
So you know, and this is another thing I appreciate about you is your honesty and your candor in a probably more PC way than I would do it. When we were talking about caterers, you know, it's hard, and I run into this too because people are like, oh, I need a contractor or I need this, or, and it's like when you give that referral, if they don't. If they're not an A+, it's your fault. Like, why did you send them to me? And so you're in a business, and when you talk about planning, photographers, videographers, just all the different moving parts, and if they're not to your standard, then it looks bad for you, which is difficult.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's what I try to do too, is like if I'm giving somebody my word of who they should be using, like they're someone I would be using, and that's it. And there are a lot of, it's the same thing, the niche market type of thing. If you want someone with carnations and daisies, go talk to that person. They're great at what they do. And I wish in a way that was kind of more the way it worked with flowers. Tends to be in a smaller area. You have one florist, but it would be really great to be like, oh, you do more roses, you do more carnations, you do more large styles, small styles. We don't have quite that yet, just because everybody kind of has to do everything. But in a perfect world, that'd be the best way to do flowers, is you can just go to where this is what I need, then this will work for me.
So how do you see your business growing in the next 5 years?
I have no idea. I wish I had a crystal ball. I'm scared because in the past 5 years, I've expanded to an event space. I have a second location. So now I'm very cautious to say what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 years. So I originally, when I first started in Dolgeville, I had a young girl come to me and she was like, can I interview you for school? It was a paper, what do you think as a business owner? And that was one of the things she asked me. And I said, well, one day it might be kind of cool to have that flower shop down in Little Falls. And now I think of it and I'm like, crap, I actually do.
I asked for this.
You manifested it.
Exactly. And I'm like, uh-oh. So now I have to be really careful of what I say. And I joke and I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool to have, don't put this on, all the flower shops all over, all over the valley, that would be so
Monopoly.
neat to have. Yeah.
We're going to have to break you up.
Right. But all different, so each one's a little different in style, but it all is under the Creative Designs by Tiffany name. That would be the goal in 5 years, but it won't happen. I'm knock on wood. I'm not going to have that happen yet. So
sorry, our producer's laughing because he's just marked 5 years from now.
Right.
He's going to run this when you buy the final flower shop in Herkimer
County. And all the websites
County.
that go with it, too.
You're going to have 9 different websites. You're going to have a pen and pad with that dude who wants 3 roses every July.
Exactly.
What about out of the box? Well, I'll push this a little bit farther, then we'll wrap up. So if you're like out of the box, pie in the sky, probably couldn't even happen logistically, but do you have thoughts like that around what would be really awesome for this space?
Oh yeah. So I would love to have it be like a greenhouse type area too. So you have like greenhouse, and you can go out in the greenhouse botanical garden and have your event out there. Where that parking lot is where I that, and I'm like, obviously you need parking, so that won't really happen unless something happens. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the park across the street will come up. I don't know. But that would definitely be like all in. Just that would be the coolest thing to me, just to have like a greenhouse set up with it. Not that far fetched, but also greenhouses are a lot of work if you've seen them, and the irrigation and all of that. So to get into that portion of it, I don't know if we would want to go that route just logistically, but that's kind of if everything came together was perfect. That would be
amazing.
The best thing.
The flowers make people happy.
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's life,
They
right?
do.
I mean, and down in DC, we went through the botanical gardens, and you see all the pictures of, like you say, the wildflowers in the fields in Europe and different parts
Oh
of
my
the
God,
country.
we started even in Rochester with the Lilac Festival. That was my favorite.
They've got the Violet Festival in Dolgeville.
I'm just saying, like,
Canceled this
flowers
year.
have been definitely,
It's canceled
I
this
didn't know
year.
that. All
Next year, 26. They'll be looking on 26. Yes.
right.
but not to interrupt your thought.
That was
but
it.
yeah.
That was my thought.
One thing I hate are fake plants.
Yes.
I am sorry, I'm not a
Yes.
fake plant person. I just can't. I can't get behind that. I don't like fake anything really, but
We just put together our first Airbnb, and it's hard, right? I mean, when guests are coming, and so we got some fake flowers, and her skin is like crawling. and she's like,
It gives me.
I don't like those flowers. I'm like, well, what the hell do we put there? Like, who's gonna be here to water this?
That's true.
I will come up and water them.
That's
no,
true.
I'm just kidding.
Once a week, you can get away with plants and stuff, or like
Right.
the
Put it-
Oh my
succulents.
gosh.
Yeah, see?
Put it in your notebook.
All right,
you
I
can
will.
hit my wife up every weekend for our guests.
Well, it's
Yes.
too funny. We have a Peloton room, and the plants have officially
It's a
taken over the
greenhouse.
Peloton
It
room.
is a
That's
greenhouse
That's
with a
amazing.
Peloton
That's
in it.
perfect.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
perfect, though.
So
Right.
let's
Amazing.
talk a little bit about the podcast. Well, first, your
Okay.
hours. First, let's talk about the
Oh,
shop
good
hours.
Lord. So this
All
has
of
been, yeah, exactly. This
How are
has
you in
been
two
my
places
thing.
at once?
That's the whole thing. So I found originally what was supposed to happen was the Little Falls was going to buy it, we would run it, and it just would keep going. Staffing is very hard to find, so that kind of got waylaid, and then we got into the summer and Christmas and now Valentine's Day, so I'm bouncing back and forth between the two. But I do have a couple of retirees that are very helpful with that, and then with the delivering, they're basically my go-tos. And to be truthfully honest, they are the hardest workers I've seen in anything. So, I come in and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you like scrubbing that tape? You don't need to scrub that tape. Oh, no, I had time. I figured I'd do it. So it works out that way. But basically right now we try and do a 9 to 3, which is the main hours I try and stay open. And then I do everything else by appointment. After this, actually, I have a girl that's coming in to talk about her wedding at 3:30, I think it is, because she gets out of school. I find that's kind of the best way to do it is by appointment, because you could sit there all night till 5 o'clock, no one comes in,
Right.
or you
Yeah.
can schedule the appointments and they're coming in versus people walk
Waiting.
in and out. Yes, and that's the worst too when you're trying to talk to somebody about their wedding. People come in at the same time, so it's nice to schedule the appointments that way too. So,
How do people find you?
good question. So,
What's the right website to go
What's
to?
the right way to
So
find
it will be creativedesignsbytiffany.com. But right now there's like 3 different ones that are all amazingly the same domain. I guess, is that the right word?
You can do
Domain.
redirects.
Yeah, and it's like the .net is mine, the .com is mine. So really, Creative Designs by Tiffany Florist. If you Google that, it pulls up the right stuff, I guess. So
All right.
yeah, that seems to be.
So, and then on social,
Yes.
Or go-to
So
social?
Instagram is my
Okay.
favorite. Facebook I do because I kind of have to, but
Yeah.
Instagram's still my number one favorite.
and you're under what on Instagram?
CD by Tiffany, and I think it's at c.d.by Tiffany.
Okay.
I believe, yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, we could talk to you all day. That's I knew this would be an easy one for us anyway.
So happy to
It's
be
fun,
up here.
fun to
It
have
was
you on
so
the other
much
side
fun,
of the
yes.
table. Yeah.
And
I
I'm
was
not-
super excited. I'm like, I know Valentine's Day is soon. Can you come in? And
Yes.
she's like, I'll make it work. I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yep. And it's amazing because every guy is last minute. So the busiest day will be the 14th. It won't be the 10th or the 11th. It'll be the 14th. We'll have stuff come in, but that's.
I love flowers. I love florists. I love what you do. And I will say publicly that a big reason I married my wife is because when we were dating back in the day when I had no money, she's like, don't ever, you have to promise me 2 things. She said, don't ever buy me flowers on Valentine's Day. and don't ever have anyone sing to me on my birthday at a restaurant.
Yes, for sure.
And
Those
I
are
have-
two things.
I have
I said
stuck
go
with
the
it.
day after
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Here we
Go
are.
2 weeks before.
So there you go,
Give
fellas.
me
Find-
flowers just
Absolutely.
because.
Find a woman who doesn't want flowers on Valentine's
Absolutely.
Day.
You want to hear a funny story? So my poor husband's not going to like I'm saying this. So when we first, I don't even know if we were engaged yet. He was working a night shift at Walmart, and we had no money, all of that. So he went after midnight. It would have been on Valentine's Day, and the flowers were on sale. Meanwhile, I'm at home, and in his words, I was in fetal position, just crying because I didn't think I got any flowers for Valentine's Day. And meanwhile, he comes in with this bunch that was on sale from Walmart afterwards. And I was like, oh my gosh, you do still love me. He was like, you got to be kidding me. So we get it. We totally get it. Like, those flowers don't mean anything. I get it.
It's a thought that counts.
Yes,
It
it's
is.
a thought.
And that's
It is.
why
It
the
is.
just because flowers
Yes,
I
are
love
perfect.
Oh, they're so
the
much
floral
better.
industry doubles
Yes.
down on that, right?
Yes.
Just because. Like, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be just the event.
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
And it does mean more, too. All right, we
Yes.
finish all these with rapid fire 5. We'll try our best to
Okay.
keep them just that.
Okay.
Rapid
All right.
fire. Let's see what AI came up with.
Okay.
I haven't read these yet.
Okay. All right.
What's your favorite flower?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say right now the freesia because it's fresh and it's this time of year.
What's my favorite flower, Scott?
The yellow rose.
No. You don't know that.
That's-
Never mind.
Hang on, we're doing rapid fire. We'll talk later. If you could design an event for anyone in the world, who would it be?
I would say something at the White House. That would be something very fun to do. And there are a couple of florists in this, not local area, but like Albany area that have done a few
Yeah.
events. So I'm like, it could come down the line. I hope
awesome.
one day.
And it's
it
fun to
will.
have an unlimited budget.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Our unlimited tax
Yes.
dollars at work.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
What advice would you give an aspiring florist or designer?
Oh, you got to work with somebody who's done it before because there's so many different things that have come up. And I've been lucky that both the florists that I bought businesses from have stayed on, but each one even still has a different take on how they did stuff. And there's really no right way to do it. So take everything they're telling you plus what your kind of intuition is, and that's the only way you're going to make it. I truly stand by that.
You made a big pivot from sports into flowers. If you weren't doing flowers, what would you do for a career?
Probably still would want to be in sports. I still sometimes that management type of stuff still kind of gets me, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a fast pace. I like to be in bed now by 9 o'clock. So I'm like, I don't know how I do with that. So I think it is good that
You'd
we
have to go to
did
the West
pivot.
Coast. We
Yes,
always talk about
exactly.
that. West Coast
If you
sports
want
are
to be a
amazing.
sports fan, live on the West Coast.
Exactly. Yes. So I think it's
Don't
good
have to
that
stay
I
up
went.
late for anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Hawaii. We'd be
Yeah.
good in Hawaii.
Yes. Yes.
That was amazing when we were watching games in Hawaii. Yeah, for sure. All right. One thing worth traveling to the Little Falls or the Dolgeville area besides your shops.
Okay, so Dolgeville, Green Acres. I have to say Green Acres over the summer, but they're not open right now. And honestly, Big M. I know it sounds crazy, but
We
that
used to have a big M.
yeah, Big M, the small town, like you will go in there, you will never want to shop at a big box store again. It is amazing, and especially if they get to know you, it is.
That's how it
absolutely
was at
amazing.
Melrose in Frankfurt.
I miss Melrose
Yes.
so
and,
much.
You know,
Yep.
and everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
Little
but-
Falls.
Little Falls, I would say same thing. Pole eggs. I love pole eggs being next door to him. He has had it's the weirdest business to me because it's like flooring and paint and like
Yep.
everything. And the guys that you see walk in there and then Bob himself, it's just like the coolest thing to see as a business model. And I guess it's just my old fashioned kind of way of thinking of things.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's just the neatest thing to see him. And he's only open I think till 3 o'clock too. And he's got just the coolest stuff going on in there. And it's not like
I've never been.
yeah, it's
I've
like
never even heard of it.
it's like Chickweed's great, and I forget if she merged. I think it's Loft 32 or something now. Like those are really great, and over on the Canal Place. But like that old school style store right next door
Yeah.
is just the coolest thing. It's like a step back in time. So
Awesome.
and
Used to
he has a receipt machine that is like the old
Western
school
Auto.
printer.
This is giving me the
It's like, yes,
randomness that you
it's-
used to walk in and
yes.
they sold bikes. They sold
Yeah.
like
It was
everything. It was
Western
weird.
Auto in
Yeah.
Frankfurt.
It's the coolest.
You could pay your utility bill. You
Yeah.
could buy a
Yeah.
bike.
And that
you could
receipt
get some
machine that you're
fine
talking
china.
about that slides back
Exactly,
and forth.
it's amazing, and I'm like, I've never seen one of these before, like in person. So it is really cool.
Oh,
to see.
that's
And what's the name of
fun.
it?
Pole eggs. Well, it was Lovenheim's for years, and
Okay.
the Pole eggs own it now. So I'm not sure what the name
You've
changed
seen it a
over.
million times. You
It's-
go to
You
CVS
know it's
for
a
your
good
pharmacy.
old school store
Yes.
when it's your favorite and you don't know the name
Yes,
of it.
exactly. It's the paint store. A lot of people
Yes,
call it
it's
the
the
paint
paint
store. But he does floor. Like I said, he does
Yeah.
flooring and a whole bunch of other stuff that I didn't even realize he did in there
Yeah.
until I moved next door. So
That's a
it's
great
one of those
plug.
cool
That,
things.
that's right up there with Bucky and Georgette's when
Yeah.
Bert did that. When they give them all like he had a Bucky and Georgette sweatshirt on there.
He
He's got all
came
the
over.
merch
He's got
now.
a sweatshirt
Yeah,
now
they
that
love
they
him.
specifically
Yeah.
gave
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is too is as you're saying that he sells mattresses too because I've seen those be delivered too. So there's mattresses he sells there too because next door you see him being dropped off. So that's a little bit of everything. So
Tiffany
wild.
Rutkowski,
Yes.
Creative Designs by Tiffany. Find her if you can. That's a challenge. Do it.
Yeah,
Find her.
absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.
yes,
Thank
thank you very
you.
much. So.